What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams, and today we're going to begin the second timeline in the Halloween Michael Myers saga, what I like to collectively call the John Tate saga. And today we're going to be taking a look at Halloween H20, 20 years later, starring Jamie Lee Curtis, Josh Hartnett, Michelle Williams, Adam Arkin, Adam Hahn Bird, Jodie Lynn O'Keefe, Janet Leigh, LL Cool J, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. And as I said in the introduction, today we begin the John Tate saga of the Halloween Michael Myers storyline. And we're going to take a look at Halloween H20. Now, basically, this movie and the next ones we're going to take a look at completely throw out the Thorn Trilogy. So you can go back, you can watch Halloween 78, Halloween 2 from 1981, and then go straight into this one and just completely dismiss 4, 5, and 6, as well as 3, which was its own entity, anyways. But enough about that. Let's get into this. And our movie opens on October 29th, 1998, as Michael Myers burglarizes Dr. Sam Loomis's retirement house in Langdon, Illinois. Loomis's former colleague, Marion Chambers, who took care of Dr. Loomis until he passed away, arrives at the house and discovers that the file on Laurie Strode, who is presumed dead in an automobile accident, is missing. Michael murders her teenage neighbor Jimmy, and his best friend Tony before leaving the house in Jimmy's car with Laurie's file. Meanwhile, in Summer Glen, California, Laurie, having faked her death in order to avoid Michael, now lives under the assumed name of Carrie Tate and has a career as the headmistress of Hillcrest Academy, which is a private boarding school. Her career is supported by her giving secretary, Norma Watson, and the Hillcrest guidance counselor, Will Brennan, who she is also in a relationship with. However, Laurie is far from happy, as the tragic events from 1978 still haunt her, and she lives in fear that Michael may return for her at any time. Now, while a woman and her daughter are at a rest stop, Michael steals their car. At the academy campus, the students leave to attend a school field trip to Yosemite, leaving only Laurie, Will, security guard Ronnie Jones, Laurie's son, John, his girlfriend, Molly Cartwell, and their classmates, Charlie Devereaux and his girlfriend, Sarah Wainthorpe, who are having a Halloween party in the school basement behind. Laurie receives some maternal advice from Norma before she leaves work for the weekend. And later that night, Laurie reveals her true identity to Will, while Michael arrives at the school. He quickly murders Charlie and Sarah before attacking John and Molly, who are rescued by Laurie and Will, allowing Michael and Laurie to come face to face for the first time in 20 years. Will accidentally shoots Ronnie, who had been patrolling the hallway, when he mistakes Ronnie's shadow for that of Michael. Michael then kills Will while he and Laurie are examining Ronnie's body. Laurie manages to get John and Molly to safety, and realizing that she will never be safe from Michael as long as he's alive, she decides to confront Michael head on. Laurie stabs Michael numerous times and pushes him over a balcony. She prepares to stab him once again, but Ronnie, who survived the shooting, stops her. The authorities arrive at the scene and load Michael into a coroner's van. But Laurie, knowing that Michael is still alive, steals the van in order to kill him for good. Michael awakens and attacks Laurie, who slams on her brakes, sending Michael crashing through the windshield. As Michael rises again, Laurie hits him with the van before sending them both tumbling down a steep embankment. Laurie, having fallen out of the van, discovers Michael pinned between the van and a tree. Michael reaches out for Laurie, who feels a brief moment of pity for her brother before she finally decapitates him with an axe as our movie comes to its end. I know there's a lot of people out there that think that H2O isn't as good as some of its predecessors, but I always have held a soft spot in my heart for H2O, as it's the first one I actually saw in theaters. I saw Halloween on television one day, knowing that I wanted to go see H2O. And so H2O is the first one of these that I actually got to experience on the big screen in theaters. And I know part of it was because I was huge into hip hop at the time, so I wanted to see LL Cool J. But I also knew Jamie Lee Curtis, obviously. I had seen a number of her films. I knew Halloween is where she had kind of gotten her huge break. So I wanted to see what happened 20 years after the original events. I had never seen Halloween 2 yet. So the whole hospital stuff, no reference to me, which none of that really ties into this because all that takes place on the same night. But I digress. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. But Halloween and then H2O, I always enjoyed them as a double feature. It wasn't until sitting down to do these reviews that I really got to expand and see the other timeline. So for me, the John Tate saga, as we're referring to it, that was my timeline. Halloween, and then when I saw it, Halloween 2, H2O, and for everything that it is, and we'll get to that in a couple days, Halloween Resurrection. That was my timeline. But I think that H2O gets a little bit of grief for being a little bit too modern, too with the times. And honestly, I only think that H2O really got its chance to shine because of the success of Scream. And if you think about it, there's quite a couple of connections here between Scream and H2O and the two franchises. In Scream, at the big party, Randy and the friends all watched the original Halloween from 1978. In H2O, the friends having the party, John, Molly, and everybody, are watching Scream too. So a little bit of a throwback there. They're watching the sequel to the movie that featured the original Halloween. Also in H2O, we get Creed and their song What's This Life For on the soundtrack. And then in Scream 3, Creed provides their hit song What If, as well as Is This the End over the end credits. So there's definitely a little back and forth here between Scream to H2O and then H2O to Scream 3. It's pretty cool when you really stop and think about it. And I don't know how many people actually ever picked up on those little back and forth Easter eggs, but I definitely did this time, probably because I had just watched and reviewed the Scream saga before getting into the Halloween saga. But when it comes down to my rating for Halloween H2O, like I said, I hold a special place in my heart for it. So while some of you may not understand, I give H2O 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was a great story, a great sequel. It hit all the marks for me and what I love and expect from a horror movie. What do you guys think of Halloween H2O? Let me know if you're watching the premiere. leave your thoughts and comments over here. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down here. But let's have that conversation, that debate, that discussion, that interaction that I always request and clamor for from you, the fans. And make sure you guys tune in at the top of the hour, right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, as well as on the Jeff Meacham Network, as Jeff and I proudly present to you the top 10 horror movie sequels, a presentation of the dads, not always on wrestling. Gonna have to make sure you check that out and see what ranks on our lists of the greatest horror movie sequels of all time. And then tomorrow, right back here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, it'll be time for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. And I'm going to break things up just a little bit here. We're not going to go straight into Halloween Resurrection. We're going to talk about a fan film that picks up the events of H20 directly, deals with John Tate, called The Haddonfield Nightmare, starring Peter Jurek, Alice Bozga, Kate Kelly, Christina Reyes, Andrew Colley, Cody Falk, Dwayne Hayden, Connor Whitman, and Braden Timmons. And then following that, at the top of that next hour, the doors will open for Stat Boy Sports Bar back in its regular time slot tomorrow, as Jeff Meacham will be manning the boards instead of myself. As always, the food is hot, the beer is ice cold, and the seats are warm. So pull up a bar stool and enjoy some sports talk with Stat Boy, Dory Lou, and whoever else decides to come into the sports bar. And then later that evening, on the Jeff Meacham Network, the flagship show of the Jeff Meacham Network, Talk Wrestling, will be back 10:05 Eastern, 7:05 Pacific, immediately following WWE NXT. You're not going to want to miss out on any of that content, both right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, as well as over on the Jeff Meacham Network. The Haddonfield Nightmare, Dad's Not Always on Wrestling, Stat Boy Sports Bar, Talk Wrestling. So much stuff coming to you in the next 24, 48 hours, as well as the following week as we lead up to October 31st, Halloween, and Halloween Ends. A Dad's Not Always on Wrestling review. Myself and Jeff Meacham will be doing that. Something you're definitely going to want to mark your calendars for. So, to all my loyal fans and friends out there, thank you for tuning in and joining me today. I greatly appreciate it. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure that notification bell is turned on so you don't miss out on any of the content that's going to be coming here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, or when we go live, as is the case with Stat Boy Sports Bar, Open Mic Night, pay-per-views, PLEs, etc. Make sure you share this video with your family, friends, loved ones, co-workers, movie fanatics, cinephiles in your life. Anybody who appreciates John Carpenter, Jamie Lee Curtis, LL Cool J, Michelle Williams, Josh Hartnett, the Halloween saga in general. Share my video with them. It's the only way we're going to boost up my visibility in YouTube's algorithms so I can eventually get monetized, make some money on this endeavor. Thank you once again to everyone out there who joined me and tuned in today. It means more to me than you'll ever know. And I will see you guys next time.